Hello and welcome to the United Stand. 3 weeks tonight. 3 weeks tonight to the minute if you're watching live. We will be playing Leicester City at home in the Premier League. 3 short weeks and the Premier League starts. So, interesting news. Interesting news has come out in the last few hours from the BBC. Bill Rice, the BBC local Manchester United correspondent, saying that Manchester United will make 2 signings, or trying to make 2 signings, maybe a third, which will be a marquee signing. He mentions a centre-back and a hard-working right midfielder as the 2 signings that Manchester United want to make, and then the third signing would be a marquee signing if they can pull it off. I'll tell you who that marquee signing is going to be in a moment, but anybody who's been following the United Stand will know, or following me at Mark Goldbridge yesterday morning, I went from being quite negative the night before to yesterday morning tweeting out and saying, if what I've heard is true, I feel a lot more positive. I then mentioned it last night on the United Stand at 8 o'clock that I've been told that Manchester United are going to make 2 signings, potentially a third. 24 hours later, the BBC are reporting it. So I think whoever told me that, well, whoever I know who told me that, are spot on, and I thought they were quite credible. The interesting thing is, I didn't get exactly the same information. I did about the third signing being the marquee signing. I did about them going for 2 signings, but the information I got wasn't a centre-back and a hard-working right midfielder. It wasn't. And I'll tell you that categorically it wasn't. So let's see who's going to be right and who's wrong. But there's clearly something going on around Manchester United, because that's from the BBC now, and you've had it from me 24 hours ago. And I got it from somebody else, which, I'm not saying it's from me directly. So, interesting that Manchester United are trying to do that. The marquee signing is Gareth Bale. I think most of you know that. It doesn't take a genius to figure it out that the marquee signing we're trying to pull off is Gareth Bale. And it's a really interesting one. I mean, loads to talk about tonight. I want to pick up on some of the Mourinho comments from last night. I want to talk about the captain, Pogba. I want to talk about how we performed last night, what it means for next season, and potentially who these signings might be. So get involved, give us your comments. Just say their names, says Kids Car Vids. Well, I've just told you one. And Archie says, so no left back Sandro. That's what the BBC are saying. That's not what I'm saying. So, I got exactly the same information. 2 signings and a marquee signing if they can do it. BBC say Bill Rice says 2 signings and a marquee signing if they can do it. So that's where it's pretty much the same information. But what they're saying is centre-back and a hard-working right midfielder, who will tell you who that's in a minute. Mine wasn't that. Mine wasn't centre-back and hard-working right midfielder. It wasn't. They were different positions. So, one of them was the same. But Manchester United last summer had a bad summer because Griezmann was meant to come. Atletico Madrid got the transfer ban and it messed up our summer. Yes, we salvaged Lukaku, but that was salvaged from a Morata deal that we couldn't get over the line. Lukaku was never the first choice. It was Morata. We couldn't deal with Real Madrid. We had a word with Mino Raiola, who we've dealt with in the past, and said, I know Lukaku's going to Chelsea. Any chance of him coming to us? Yes, it was done very quickly. Matic, obviously Mourinho wanted him. But we wanted Griezmann last summer and it never happened. And we never got Perisic as well. This summer, you would never have predicted that this summer was going to go the same way as last summer. You'd never predict it would be worse. And at the moment, it is. It is. What the business we've tried to do has been very, very difficult. But as I said last night, other clubs are suffering as well. The marquee signing that we're trying to get is Gareth Bale. It's not a big secret. Manchester United, Ed Woodward want to get Gareth Bale to Manchester United. Mourinho, I don't really know what Mourinho's stance on this. We've heard that he doesn't think it can be done. But Gareth Bale, can it be done? The reality is Gareth Bale's camp at the moment, you can go one of 2 ways. You can say, yes, he's speaking very positively about leaving Real Madrid unless he gets the confirmation that he's going to be the big man. Or you can say, well, he's been back in training at Real Madrid and things are going well. You can read it one of 2 ways. I wouldn't say it's a risk for Manchester United because I think going into this summer, not many people expected us to get Gareth Bale. So if we do pull that deal off, it would be absolutely massive. Do I think we can sign Gareth Bale? I don't think we'll get him. But that's just my personal opinion. I think we can do it. I think more interestingly for Manchester United, well, as I say, the marquee signing, I was told yesterday we're trying to do one. It's out today from the BBC. It's clear that we are trying to do it, and it is Gareth Bale. But it will be dictated to by whether Gareth Bale decides to leave Real Madrid. Whether people like it or not, we are sort of hanging around, cap in hand, saying, do you want to leave Real Madrid? If he says no, we've been snubbed. That's the end of it. But the 2 signings that we may be looking at, very, very interesting. Look, I'm not going to mess around anymore. Look, the reality is we are looking at a couple of signings to get in before the Leicester game in a couple of weeks' time. One of them's a defensive position. One of them is an attacking midfield position on the right-hand side, if you believe the BBC. I personally wouldn't veer too far away from Willian, Alderweireld, Harry Maguire, Alexandro, and potentially Rebic. They're the 5, I think 2 from those 5 that we are looking at the moment. I don't think we're looking at anything else, and I've certainly not heard that we are. If you go with the BBC story, you're probably stuck between Harry Maguire, Alderweireld, Rebic and Willian. If you stick to what I've been told, then you've probably got to add Sandro into that equation as well, because he's a left back. But all of those deals present problems for me, as I've said before. I mean, Rebic, to be honest, I'm going to be really harsh. I like him. I like the look of what he did in the World Cup, but I don't think signing people from good World Cups is a good idea. And I think he's an Everton signing. I think he's the sort of player that goes to Everton. His career for a 24-year-old, isn't that fantastic? Eintracht Frankfurt, Sampdoria, a couple of loans elsewhere. He's not really hit the high heights. That doesn't mean he can't do. He can be a late developer. He does have similarities to Perisic, and he probably is available at a reasonable price. But to me, he's not a Manchester United signing. He's a risk signing. Willian at this stage, at this late stage, I think many Manchester United fans would take him. As for the centre-back situation, I think United are hanging their hopes that Alderweireld's going to become available because Spurs want to sell. But it becomes a very difficult. I mean, Spurs and United is a bit like Spurs and Real Madrid. There's a real difficulty there. Harry Maguire, I like him. I do like him, but is he the authoritative centre-back that we probably need, that Mourinho is looking for? I don't know. Rather Willian than Rebic, says Peter B. To be honest with you, I'd have to agree with that. I know Willian's age goes against him, but yeah, I probably would. Willian is garbage, says Harper Hull. You generally think you know it all, says Dan11. Look, mate, I mean, have we got any moderators tonight? Because I don't really appreciate those sort of comments, and I sort of wish I don't read them out. The United Stand's always been a fan channel. You don't have to watch this. We started doing this 3 years ago with 10 people watching. We're now lucky if we get a couple of thousand people watching. But nobody asks you to watch it. Nobody forces you to watch it. You're not being held at gunpoint watching this show. If you want to watch it, fine. If you don't want to watch it, fine. But for 3 years, we've always been about fan opinion and fan content. And I very rarely have come out and said I've had information. Alexis Sanchez, I was told about that a week before in January. I've not really said anything for 18 months that I've been told. What I said yesterday, 24 hours ago, is that United are going to make 2 signings. Well, they're trying to make 2 signings, potentially a third. 24 hours later, the BBC is saying exactly what I said to you 24 hours ago. You can choose to believe it or you can choose not to believe it. And that's as simple as that. And as for this Paul Pogba nonsense, leaving, load of crap. Not happening at all. Not going to entertain anything about Paul Pogba leaving. It's not happening. Manchester United will not let it happen. And it's absolute scaremongering to be putting that out from, the newspaper outlets that are putting it out. It's just not going to happen. Never in a million years. United wouldn't have the time to sell Pogba and replace him. We can't even get the signings we want to get in. Also, we're not going to sell him twice. We're not going to sell him, let him come back and sell him twice. And the biggest thing for me as well is that if Mourinho let Pogba go, I think the club would almost have to say, no, you can go. If Mourinho and Pogba can't sort their problems out, it should be Mourinho who goes. And I don't want Mourinho to go. But if the club if the club is stupid enough to consider selling Pogba because Mourinho wants rid of him, then the club's got a big problem. Because Mourinho bought Mkhitaryan and then sold him within 18 months. Mourinho bought Zlatan, he's gone within 18 months with an injury, wasn't his fault. Mourinho bought Bailly and he's not really playing him. Mourinho bought Lindelof, he's not really playing him. Lukaku and Matic have been good signings, but you can't sign somebody 2 years ago like he did with Mkhitaryan and have them out of the club within 2 years. It's not going to happen with Pogba. Never going to happen. Never going to happen in a million years. Mourinho goes before Pogba for me, says Jay. I totally agree with you, Jay. He cannot. It's not going to happen. I don't even want to talk about it because it's not happening. Paul Pogba's not leaving Manchester United. It's an absolute red herring. Simon Beach says, I bet you a grand it's Gary Cahill. Look, Simon, you might not be wrong. I think the centre-back that Manchester United are going for, I would not hang my hat on it and I would not throw a name out. Purposely, I wouldn't throw a name out because I know we're looking for centre-backs, but to chuck a name out, if it ends up, if it's Gary Cahill, I despair. I don't know about you lot, but I despair if it's Gary Cahill. We've had the news from Mourinho yesterday that Antonio Valencia is going to be his captain, and he basically said that I don't really care about the captain. It's the leaders in the dressing room that I care about. But history shows that that's wrong. History shows that that's wrong, Jose. Your history shows that that's wrong. John Terry is probably one of the best Premier League captains there's ever been. He was your captain. He was your general on the pitch. Alex Ferguson, Roy Keane, Brian Robson, Steve Bruce. These are Vidic. These are generals on the pitch. It's not about what's going on in the bloody dressing room. You need a general on the pitch, and we haven't got that. Antonio Valencia, I've got nothing against him, but he's no captain of Manchester United. He can't even string a sentence together in English, can he? So, but that's by the by. I think that's a really unfair thing to say, actually. I wish I hadn't said it, because that's not the problem. He's just not a leader. He's not a captain. It doesn't matter if he can't speak English, really. He's just not a leader. He's a very quiet player. And Manchester United need a leader. And I think one of the people we've seen showing leadership qualities, well, two of them, are Matic, Pogba and Lukaku. Sorry, three. Three of those have shown leadership qualities. Mourinho even said Matic has shown them, but he's only been here a year. So bloody what? So what if he's been here a year? If you haven't got a leader, give him the captaincy. I think it's important, and I think Jose is too blasé with the captaincy, and I don't really understand why. At Chop, I've missed something here. Cahill, rather keep Jones then, says Wan White. I would agree with that. Maguire is an upgrade on Jones and Smalling, says Jack Ritchie. Look, very quickly on Chris Smalling, I don't really get people's problem with Chris Smalling. I know George Kyle is probably in the live comments. I think I've seen him. I've seen Matthew McFadden as well. But I know George doesn't like Chris Smalling. But for me, Chris Smalling's there and Phil Jones is there. Phil Jones is always injured and he makes massive mistakes in big games. Chris Smalling's got a mistake in him, but he very rarely does it in a big game. He's quite consistent. He's just not a first teamer. He's a backup centre-back, Chris Smalling. I've got no desire to sell Chris Smalling. I think Chris Smalling, when you've got injuries to your first-choice centre-backs, he's a brilliant option to come in and he's very good in the air as well. I don't want Smalling to go. Phil Jones, I agree with, but Smalling, for me, he's just not a first-teamer, but he's a good player. I like him. Captain should be De Gea, says Mark L. It's an interesting one. And apparently Richarlison, GSP, is off to Everton for £50 million. It just shows you Manchester United's net spend this summer, and I don't like the word net spend. I'm trying to think of a better word. Effectively, we've spent about 75 million on Dalot, Fred, and Phil and Grant, but we're going to bring in about 25 million from Blind and Darmian. So overall, 50 million spent. I think we've got 150 million, so I think we've got another 100 million to spend in the next few weeks. Give it to Lindelof. Lindelof needs to play football. That's what he needs to do. Matthew McFadden says Smalling makes so many errors, only looks decent because he usually plays to Jones, which can make my 82-year-old granny look good at football, and she's almost bedbound. They see. I didn't realise Matthew was so anti-Smalling as well, but I'm not totally anti-Smalling really. I don't mind him. I think he's a good option at the centre-back positions, but and I don't think he's the problem. I just wanted to pick up on something as well that I've seen a lot that I don't know what people think. I mean, where are you all at with Mourinho at the moment? What do you feel towards Jose? Just throw me some comments out there, because I saw a Drawty tweet this morning about it's a joke that Manchester United fans are Jose out after one pre-season game. And when I first read that tweet, I thought, he's spot on. I don't think people are Jose out because of one pre-season game, though. I think they were already Jose out, and it's just another irritant to them. I mean, obviously, I did the watch along last night. Make sure you tuned into the United Stand, subscribe, get your notifications on. We're doing every watch along as well as the 8 o'clock shows. But I mean, Manchester United yesterday, the midfield was the problem, but we haven't really got our midfield, have we? Fred, Matic, Pogba, but we need to move the ball quicker from back to front. And Smalling, what I was going to say there is, he's not very good at that. So that is a bit of a problem for us. Let's have a look what people are just saying. So in relation to Jose at the moment, I mean, I'd love to take Jose out for a few drinks, tell him a few jokes and tickle him, really, and make him laugh. Because that's the thing I've always found hard with Jose to defend him, is that, when he was at Chelsea in the early years going ahead against Sir Alex Ferguson, he was happy, he was antagonistic, but he was happy and he was motivated. And I thought we were going to get that from him. I thought he was going to come to us after being humiliated by Chelsea and sacked, with a point to prove, really relishing the Manchester United job, feeling that this was what his career was all about. And maybe he does feel like that, but he doesn't convey it at all. He just looks so miserable all the time, and it just feels like a job. It just feels like a job, and he gives off that persona that this is just a job to him, and we need more than that. You've got to live, drink, breathe Manchester United, and I'm not so sure that he does. I think he is struggling somewhere. I don't know whether there's something in his personal life. Obviously, his dad died last year, a year ago, wasn't it? There just seems to be something missing with Jose. Personally, I think it's something as simple that he's fell out of love with football, and he's just going through the motions. And the trouble is, when you're good at something because you're passionate about it, then when you lose that passion and you just try to do that job, and it just becomes a job, that can become a problem. I mean, I'm passionate about going live at 8 o'clock with you every night because I feed off your interaction, and I love talking about Manchester United. But if I woke up one day in the morning and was like, I don't really want to do it anymore, but I'm going to do it because I want to do it, but I don't really feel it, and I just Google a few things and I write a few notes down and I'm just going through the motions. It's, it might still be okay, but will it be what the United stand's all been about? And I think that is a good analogy for what's going wrong with Mourinho at the moment. I just don't think he's passionate, and I don't know why that is. One theory I have is that Jose Mourinho is a checkbook manager, and I say that in the nicest possible way, but he is. If you look through his career, especially Chelsea, Inter, Real Madrid, Chelsea, Porto slightly, but Porto, he was a checkbook manager, but Porto were a big team in a small pond in Portugal, so they spend within their means there. But yeah, Chelsea, Real Madrid, Inter Milan, Chelsea again. He's been a checkbook manager and he's had what he needed to have, and Mourinho is very successful when he gets that. I think at United, the first summer, everyone always goes, well, look at the first summer. But actually, what he inherited from Van Gaal, if I asked you an honest question, was Ibrahimovic, Mkhitaryan, Bale and Pogba really enough? Was 4 players enough to revolutionise that Van Gaal team? And the answer is no. It probably needed about 8, maybe 9. Then last season he didn't get what he wanted. He didn't get Perisic. And then this season he's not got it either. So Mourinho's having to manage a club that he's never managed a club like this before. He's never managed a big club where he's not had the checkbook. He's never managed a club where he's got to promote and develop youth. And I think Jose struggles with that. And to be honest, that's why wouldn't he struggle with that? It's difficult for him. Lance Phillips says Jose needs to be allowed to get players in he wants, and I think, thanks for the contribution, Lance. I think you're very right there. I think he does. And I thought, I think Ed Woodward's in America at the moment. I'm sure I read something a couple of days ago that he's in America, and you get the normal people jumping on Woodward's back saying, oh, why isn't he here, there and everywhere? The reality is Juventus, Spurs, Real Madrid, I mean off the top of my head, AC Milan, there's a lot of clubs out in America next week. So if we were dealing with them, why can't we deal with them in there? And there is such thing as email, phone and text and Skype. So, and he does have assistants. So Ed Woodward being out there, I think, is quite a good thing. And I think Ed Woodward definitely does want to deliver a Neymar or a Bale or something like that. It's just doing it is very hard. And Alexis Sanchez was a fantastic signing in January, and he could be a massive player for his next season. I don't know, and I said this a few days ago, you can talk about the Marquee signing being Gareth Bale, and you can talk about whether we can pull that deal off. The big question is, for the fans who don't just fall into the excitement of it, when you step back from it, is that what we need? And we had that great call on the Skype show, I think, last night, where they said, actually, I would rather we didn't sign Bale and we just spent the 100-odd million on a centre-back and a left-back, because that will make us a better team. And you know what? Let's pretend we don't make another signing. Where's the weaknesses in our team next season? Because actually, the midfield, you've got Matic, Pogba, Fred, Herrera, Fellaini, and Pereira. I think they should be our 6, and I think McTominay should go on loan because he needs to play regularly. So Pereira, Herrera, Fellaini, Matic, Pogba, and Fred. That's 6 midfielders. That if they play to their best, that's good. Your front players, you've got Lukaku, Rashford, Martial, Lingard, Mata. Obviously Pereira can play in there as well, but you've also potentially got a Chong, who I think could be used in them positions. So realistically, and obviously Alexis Sanchez, I forgot about him, didn't I? So Rashford, Martial, Lingard, Mata, Lukaku, Sanchez, 6. That's without going to Chong. So you've got 6 forwards and 6 midfielders, and I think that's fine if you're playing the way we're playing. Everyone just needs to step up from last season. Where I see the problem for Manchester United is when I look at that back four and I go through the options there. Young and Shaw, well, he's going to play Young and he's not good enough. Centre-backs, Jones, Smalling, we know what people think about them. Lindelof, Bailly, does Mourinho really rate them? Rojo, awful in the World Cup, awful last season. And then full-backs, Valencia, Dalot. That's where Manchester United's problem is, the defence. We do actually need a strong centre-back and we definitely do need a left-back. So if you've got £100 million to spend, I'm sorry, signing Gareth Bale won't solve the problems at the back, and that's where I would look if I was Manchester United. Shantana Dar says Cristiano Ronaldo transfer fee to Juventus 129.3 million. Jersey sales in first 24 hours after transfers 62.4 million. If we didn't go for him for business reason, joke is on us. I've got to just say, there's something mythical about shirt sales. Ronaldo, if Juventus bought Ronaldo for 120 million and the shirt sales were 60 million in 24 hours, Juventus would probably get about 5 million of that. The vast majority goes to the shirt sale, to the shirt people, and also you've got overheads and all sorts like that. There's a myth been going around ever since Paul Pogba was signed that you can cover a signing with shirt sales, and it's the biggest myth in the world. The truth would be, for anybody who knows anything about finance, is that Ronaldo will make Juventus a lot of money, but what he'll make for them in shirt sales is a pittance compared to the sponsors and the other ways that Juventus can generate money from the millions and millions of new fans they're going to get. So he will bring money in, but it's too simplistic and mythical to say it's because of the shirt sales. Season will rest on impact of Pogba and Fred, period. If they're not on their games, it's adios Jose, says Maverick S. I also think you can add in Alexis Sanchez to that. I also think you can add in Jesse Lingard to that. I think Lukaku will score goals if he is provided with service, and David De Gea will make saves if he needs to. The problems Manchester United have got next season are left back and the defence, centre-back pairing. We need a centre-back pairing, and quite rightly, like Maverick says, how well the midfield plays. And also, the biggest thing out of everything is will Jose let the horses run freely, or will he be quite complacent and pragmatic? Sorry. And the great thing when we're doing the watch-alongs, when we actually kick off against Leicester in the first few games, what I want to look at is distance covered. Last season, we were right down at the bottom of the league for distance covered, not pressing the ball. Are we going to still do that next season? Because that's got to change, and the speed, the way we move the ball, has got to change as well. Big time for Manchester United. But I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged by what I saw last night. It's only a pre-season game. Please do drop a like if you're watching the video, and also, I've just read a comment. You're talking about BBC and you, but nothing's on Sky Sports. It just made me laugh. Oh, there's nothing on Sky Sports. Oh, it must not be true. Sky Sports have been rubbish, especially about Manchester United, for years. I'll never forgive them for the Gundogan's a done deal 2 years ago. Sky Sports are rubbish. They are rubbish at transfer news. They're really rubbish. They sort of announce stuff when it's pretty much done, but you'll have heard it from elsewhere for days. I don't think Sky Sports are very good. BBC are quite good. Jose, please play Martial. Most exciting player we have, says Peter Carroll. Well, that's the thing. If we don't actually get Bale, which is highly likely, I don't think we'll go. There's no other marquee signing we can go for. Griezmann's staying. Neymar we can't afford. Ronaldo's already gone. There's no marquee signings. Who's a marquee signing beyond those? So it's Bale or nothing in that area. And actually, if it's nothing, then that probably means Anthony Martial stays. The only thing I would say about Bale is, if we did get Bale, it probably means the end of Martial. But if we don't get Bale, if we get Bale, you're probably going to see Sanchez on the left, Bale on the right, Lukaku up front, and what a front three that is. If we don't get Bale, we're still going to see Sanchez on the left, Lukaku up front, and we'll probably have Lingard on the right. So I can see the advantage of Bale there, but I think Bale would be the final nail in the coffin of Martial's Manchester United career. I mean, I read something this morning that Mourinho's giving Martial his last chance, and I had to laugh. I thought to myself, since when is Mourinho the power in this play? It's Martial who's got a year left on his contract. It's Martial who's saying he wants to go because he's not being played enough. It's Manchester United who've been offering him contracts. Martial's the one with the power here. Mourinho's got no power play here. He can not pick him, but he hasn't got the power. It's a bit like Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw can stay and go for nothing in a year's time. Manchester United haven't got the power. Manchester United can try and sell him, but if he doesn't want to go, he doesn't go. And that could impact on whether we sign a left-back. Dybala says certified family records. I mean, Dybala's an interesting one. I wouldn't dismiss it out of hand. But what you've got to remember is Manchester United have only got 3 weeks to sign somebody. And to do that, you've got to be moving a lot quicker. Now, somebody said something to me. I'm very tired because I was up in the morning watching that watch along at 3 a.m. And I've got a horrible bit of a cold. One thing to bear in mind is, and this is really important, if we get to the Leicester game and we haven't sold Anthony Martial, it doesn't mean Anthony Martial is not going to be sold, because our transfer window closes on August the 11th, but the European transfer window doesn't close for another 3 weeks. So we could still have Anthony Martial as part of the squad against against Leicester, and I think we will do regardless. But we might not have him as part of the squad in September, because if a European club comes in for him, which is the only place United are going to sell him to, he could go 3 weeks into our season. You know, he could go at the end of August. We can't replace him then, but that could happen. I don't think Martial will leave Manchester United before the start of the season. If he's going to go, I think he'll go sometime after the season started, because it will be in Europe. So that's worth bearing in mind. And it's worth bearing in mind with Darmian. I mean, people are like, oh, Darmian, get the deal done. But he might not go till the season started, because he's going to Italy and their window's open till the end of August. So you've got to bear these things in mind. All that matters with Manchester United at the moment is actually acquiring players in the next 3 weeks. That's what we need to do. Josh Afimini wants a recap. Let me know in the live comments if he deserves a recap, because some people have been here from the start, Josh. I'm joking. Do drop a like. I will give you a recap in a minute, but I just want to make sure that I've covered everything I wanted to cover for you all. I sort of touched a lot of this at lunchtime, but I think Andreas Pereira, I don't know what you lot think, so get your comments in. I think Andreas Pereira has got to be given game time. I think he looked, without going into it for too long, I think Andreas Pereira looked like he'd been playing with United for years last night. And I've seen him play a few times like this, and he's just so good on the ball and so confident on the ball. If you've got a player like that, you know, he's got to be worth 30 million quid. He really has. And there won't be the shortage of players looking for him. If we are to loan him out, please, 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 loan him out to Bournemouth or somebody in the Premier League. Get him playing in the Premier League, because he's already done Spain. But I think if I was Pereira, I'd be saying to Jose, look, I'm not going to be greedy. I want 10 Premier League games this season. If you can't give me that, I want a loan, because I don't want to leave the club, but I can't just be fighting to be on the bench every week and you don't use me. I want to be used. I want to be part of this team. And that's what Mourinho needs to do. And I don't need, Pereira, I don't think we need to sign a midfielder. I really don't. I think Pereira can cover all of those positions. And to be honest with you, he looked better than Herrera and McTominay last night. So, yeah, I would definitely give him. Pereira is talented, says Red Naught. Who's the big signing? I'm late, says Dale. Okay, so very, very quick recap. If you watched last night at 8 o'clock, or you follow me on Twitter at Mark Goldbridge, yesterday morning I said that I was feeling a lot more positive, because somebody had told me that United were definitely going to make 2 signings, potentially 3 signings in the next 3 weeks. Last night I told you about that on the show. Tonight, or this evening, BBC Bill Rice has come out and said Manchester United are going to make 2 signings, potentially 3 if they can get the Marquee signing done. So exactly the same information I gave you yesterday and yesterday morning. However, there is a slight difference, because the Marquee signing is Gareth Bale, but the positions that Bill talks about is a hard-working right midfielder and a centre-back. I was told different positions. But obviously there's some truth in that, and that's something to be encouraged by, because I doubt BBC are using the same person who told me. Maybe they got it from there, I don't know, but we got it 24 hours earlier, so that's a little bit weird. But there is a consistent thing there. United are trying to do 2 signings and potentially a 3rd signing, and that's from 2 different areas that you're getting it, so you can take that and bank it. Of course, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Manchester United could be trying to do 2 signings. Whether they do it or not is another matter. The 3rd signing is Gareth Bale. That's the Marquee signing United are trying to do. The chances of that happening, I remember saying this about Alexis Sanchez. The last time I gave a percentage about somebody signing was Alexis Sanchez. And I said I was 20% sure it was going to happen. And over the space of a week, it went from 20% to 99% because I got told. In relation to Gareth Bale coming to Manchester United, I would say the chances of Gareth Bale coming to Manchester United are 30%. So not high, but not impossible. Imrano TV, Pereira will be useful for when Pogba needs a rest or is injured, like last season we suffered when Pogba was out for months. Exactly. We've got players like Pogba who've been part of the World Cup, so they need a rest. Yupo says Bale is not going to leave. And Dale Doyle says thanks for the recap. I always forget that we've got people who are who might join us a little bit late. 360 KP says 3 out of 10 chance. And don't want Bale, to be honest, SS Abrams. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a few people that feel like that. I think when people hear hard-working right midfielder, they think of the name like Willian. They think of the names like Rebic. I mean, Aidan Cooley's just said, I bet it's Perisic, not Bale. The thing about Perisic is we screwed that deal up a year ago. I think Mourinho would do that deal tomorrow if he could get Perisic, and I would be massive excited. I'd be very excited if we got Perisic. I think he's a fantastic player, and I so wish we got him last summer, because there was so many of you lot saying, I don't want Perisic, he's crap, I've never heard of him. And I was like, well, I watched Serie A, he's a really good player, he'd fit us like a glove, and we didn't get it over the line. But now, because of that World Cup, a lot of people who didn't know anything about him can see what he is. But we would have had that for the last year. I don't think we'll get Perisic done. But I think he would massively improve us if we could get it done. But I don't think Perisic is what they're looking at. I think they're looking at Bale. I mean, Perisic could cost north of 60 million, which, to be honest, if Richarlison's going to Everton for 50, is probably what his price tag is. Big Mike, I'm going to give you the comment of the night award, because he says Mourinho selling Pogba and Martial would be his biggest mistake in his whole career. Look, can I just say this to you? Paul Pogba's not going to be sold by Manchester United. It is an absolute joke. It is not going to happen. You think about what Mourinho's done at this club. He embarrassed us in the Champions League. He's played rubbish football. He's kept Fellaini when 99% of the fan base wanted him gone. He's very miserable. And he is basically going into a season where many United fans are like, unless he wins the league, he's got to go. Now, I despite all that, I'm just listing the general things why people don't like Mourinho. I like Mourinho. I think he's got to be given this third year. But even I would have to say he's got to go if we sold Paul Pogba and Martial in this summer. It's just not going to happen. Martial might go, and that'll be very, very sad. And I will feel very frustrated with Jose if that happens. But Paul Pogba's not going to go. You can't recover from selling Paul Pogba. You know, the club would be better off sacking Mourinho than selling Pogba. It's just not going to happen. We're not bloody Everton who need the money. And there's nobody we can get to replace Pogba. It's not going to happen. And if it did happen, I think fans would just be in absolute uproar. It's just not going to happen. But so I agree with you. I think you're spot on. Certified Family Records, do you think Jose or any Manchester United players watch the United Stand? I don't know whether they like the United Stand, but I know for a fact that they do watch it. Of course they do. It's the biggest independent Manchester United fan channel, and you can be Sky Sports, BBC and everything like that, and they know when they look at that, they're going to get very watered down things. When they watch the United Stand, we're the only outlet really, and call it the negative stand, call it the real stand, but we're the only ones who have you lot calling in. We're the only ones who've got the live comments with you lot commenting. I know people who watch this show just to read the live comments. I'm sort of a backdrop radio noise, but they're reading the live comments. If you were a Manchester United player, of course you're going to watch the United Stand, because you might not admit it, but you're going to watch it because that's where you're getting real fan opinion about you. If you've played a football match, are you going to go and have a look at the Manchester Evening News player ratings, which is just one person's opinion and is often biased? Or are you going to go and read the comments on a United Stand video, or look at the live comments where real fans are going this, this, this and this? I mean, obviously, I don't think a lot of them like it, because if you're a player that's not well liked, you're going to be like dismissive of it. But yeah, they do. I just don't think they'd admit it. And a lot of that's down to you lot, of course, because it's real opinion, isn't it? It's like Arsenal Fan TV, isn't it? I know for a fact loads and loads of Arsenal fans watch the fan cams on Arsenal Fan TV. Now, they'd never admit that openly, but they do, because that's real fans talking about... It's like anything. If you see this Manchester United top here, and that's for sale in the market, and then there's one next to it, which is an obvious imitation that says Adios and Manchester United on it, and it's faded red, and it's got plastic on the top, what are you going to buy? The fake one or the real one? You're always going to go for the real one, aren't you? Because it's authentic and it's real and it's genuine. And that's what you lot are. You're real, authentic, genuine fans giving real, authentic fan opinion. And, you know, people might want to suppress it because they don't like how raw it is, but it's real. If Bale comes, he most likely will play on the left. Only reason he was playing on the right side at Madrid was because of Ronaldo. Thanks for the contribution. That's from Andreas Esquivel. He won't. He'll play on the right, won't he? Because Sanchez is never going to play on the right, I don't think. Bellerin did admit he watches it. Yeah, they do. They do. There's nothing on the BBC, mate, says K94 Will. It's local BBC. It's BBC Manchester. It's Bill Rice. So if you want to search him on Twitter, that's where it's come from. I'm not getting involved in that. Bryn Holdcroft, yes, we've had players following us on Twitter before, but they've been told to unfollow us. You're right. Bohe followed us, didn't he? And then he unfollowed us. It is an amazing community, Matt B. Norris. You're right. You should be very proud of it. You should be very proud of it. I mean, I know people think I'm divisive, and that's, you've got to be. If you're going to lead a show, if you're going to do the Skype shows, if you're going to do the watch-alongs, if you're going to do content every night, I read the comments and people say, I don't always agree with you, Mark, but I agreed with you tonight. That's brilliant. That's music to our ears, because I cannot be somebody that you agree with all the time. I cannot be that. I'm not meant to be. I'm just meant to drive the content and give a little bit of opinion in there. What the real stars of the show are you people in the live comments and the comments below. That's what we feed off, because that's real. That's what the channel is. That's what the community is, and you should be very, very proud of it. And, you know, keep spreading the word and keep getting involved, because you should be very proud of it. It's real. It's absolutely real. And people try to say it's not real. And people try to say you're not real fans because you're not win, lose or draw. I love United. If you can't sing for us when we're winning, if you can't sing for us when you're losing, you can't sing for us when we're winning. Nonsense. That's just an opinion. If you're a fan who win, lose or draw, cheers. Great. Well done. Have a pat on the back. We'll send you a Blue Peter badge. But some fans like me, win, I'll cheer them. Draw, I'll cheer them if they play well. Lose, I'll cheer them if they play well. But for too many times over the last 5 years, we've seen draws and losses because of bad management or bad players. And I'm not cheering that, because I'm Manchester United. I'm not Fellaini. I am not Fellaini fan club. I'm not Van Gaal fan club. You know, if they do well, I'll cheer them. But this is Manchester United. It comes with a very, very heavy badge, and they must perform in it. They must perform in it, because in 10 years, a lot of these won't be gone. They'll be gone, but we'll still be here. Sebastian Freger has just mentioned Draxler from PSG. Look, the world doesn't end with Gareth Bale, Alderweireld and Alexandre and Willian. There's millions of footballers out there. Well, maybe not millions, but there's hundreds of footballers out there we could move for. Draxler, I've not heard anything, Sebastian. One name I would say that is very easy to do and was very impressive in the World Cup, and he's not getting game time at the PSG, Thomas Meunier. The trouble with Meunier is he's a right back, and we don't need a right back. I always felt that we might do that deal, but I don't think we will now. Imrano TV, this is Jose here. I've been banned United players from watching the United stand because you never stand, you're always sitting. Yeah, if I stand up, all you're going to see is my crotch. This morning game was good. There was pressing, quick play and some attacking. We missed a good finisher last night, says Sydney B. I think you dreamt it, mate. We didn't press and we didn't move the ball quickly at all. I didn't think. Martial can be the marquee signing, says Munib Adamo. I mean, how many people would be happy if Martial was signed on a new contract? Many of you, I believe. We've got over 3,500 people watching, which is fantastic. Please do drop a like on the video. We always say let's get 500 likes, but we already have. So if we could hit 1,000 likes while we're live, that would be fantastic. Just a little bit of an update for the weekend, because I know people like to know, like to plan. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock as per usual, which is very much a live comments Q&A. That's what we do on a Saturday at 8 o'clock. Looking forward to that. Sunday night is a little bit different. We won't be live at 8 o'clock. We'll be live at 9 o'clock with a show that will start at 9 o'clock and will continue through to 10 o'clock, which is the kickoff of the game against San Jose Earthquakes. So on Sunday night, we'll be live with Sunday Night Live at 9 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock, but we'll continue all the way through until full time of San Jose Earthquakes at midnight. So a 3-hour show on Sunday night. I will have a video going up for you in the day tomorrow as well, and we'll have a preview of the San Jose Earthquakes game as well. So that's how we're looking for the weekend. Remember, if you are, I always forget now, but if you are new to the United Stand, bottom right hand corner, there's a little United Stand emblem. Subscribe to the channel, get involved, keep spreading the word. It's a fantastic community and one that we're very proud of. And I'll just say this to you as well. I don't lie. I don't, and certainly not when I'm speaking to you lot. I might get things wrong. I might get told things wrong. Embolo is the one that I really got wrong. But how many years ago was Embolo now? Was that 2 years ago? I said it was a done deal and it wasn't. I don't listen to that person anymore. But I was asked yesterday, and I said I'm definitely going to bring this into a show. I was asked yesterday that the way United are going, next season could be car crash. It could be really bad. And somebody said, well, that'll be good for the United Stand, because you'll get, when there's a bad result or there's rants, you get more views. And I said, and I mean this totally, and I'm pretty much sure all of you will be on the same boat. I said, and I've had this same chat with Robbie from Arsenal Fan TV, because he gets it all the time. If Arsenal lose, DT's video is going to get 200,000 views, isn't it? If they win, he's probably going to get 100,000. So from a business point of view, and Arsenal Fan TV is big enough to be a business, you could understand if they wanted to lose. But Robbie's very much the same as me. I don't want Manchester United to lose or draw. I don't want to be hosting shows where people are moaning, because the Europa League final, we hit our record numbers for our match reaction, and that was winning. I want lots of people to be watching this channel and get involved in this channel because we're arrogantly celebrating being the best team in the league. I want to be stamping down on Man City and Liverpool. I don't want this channel to be growing or this community to be growing because it's a place we can all come and, be frustrated. I don't want that. I want us to be successful next season. With all my heart, I want it. I don't know about you lot, I can't stomach, even though a lot of people are expecting it, I can't stomach another year where we're watching Liverpool play great football and push us to be finishing above us, and Man City are miles ahead playing great football, and we're getting embarrassed in the Champions League. I don't want that again. It's 6 years of it then. I don't want that. I want a new page to be turned next season. I want us to be playing decent football. I want us to be improving. I want to be cheering and celebrating. You know what? I wasn't even interested in England for 10 years. And this World Cup pulled me in because they played with passion, desire. They played as a team and they entertained. And it pulled me in. I'm always going to watch Manchester United. I'm always going to be pulled in. But I'm probably 80% pulled in at the moment because they're not giving what we want to see. I want to be entertained. I want to be passionate. I want to be proud of being a Manchester United fan again. I am proud, but I want to be proud of the players. I want to be proud of the team. I want to be proud of the performances. So yeah, I definitely want that to happen. Joseph Young's made a contribution. He says, I became a fan of Manchester United because of this channel. Been following football for a while, but never really had a team to support. Must be hard to keep the daily content going, but love your content always. Thanks very much for the contribution, Joseph. And I think that's another thing I would say as well about this community is the amount of people who comment and say, I was a Manchester United fan, but I'd call myself, I'd watch the games and that was about it. This community has made me become a daily passionate Manchester United fan. I'm getting involved in the live comments. I'm reading the live comments. I'm seeing the passion on the show and the Skype shows and the fan cams. And I've gone from being a Manchester United fan to being, it's a religion. And that, for all the people who say the negative stand, you'll never understand how passionate this community is about Manchester United. It's the be all and end all. And we grow that with every new person who comes to this channel, with every new subscriber, with every new viewer. You grow that. We are hardcore Manchester United fans who really care. And the negativity, I always flip it around the other way and say it's passion. It's passion because I guarantee none of you would be negative if we won the treble next season and we won the title by 20 points. There'd be no negativity. There wouldn't. It would be total positivity. The reason there's so much negativity at the moment is because we've had 6 years of bad mistakes around the club, from the management, from poor players, and that's where we want to get back. Anyway, thanks everyone for your nice comments. Thanks everyone who's dropped a like on the video. Thanks everyone who's subscribed if they're new. Back tomorrow, 8 o'clock tomorrow night, but we'll have a show in the day tomorrow, so make sure you've got your bell. If you subscribe to the channel, there's a bell. If you click the bell, you can tick to get all notifications. Somebody asked me about this the other day, because I might go live off my phone tomorrow. Where do I think this story will end, says Ralph. I don't know how long this story is going to take to finish, but it will end with United Premier League and Champions League winners in our lifetimes. That's all I can say. I don't know how long it's going to take, but it will happen. We will get back. We will get back. I just don't know how long it's going to take. Thanks everyone for watching. Speak to you all soon. I really enjoyed tonight's show, as you're all fantastic, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Enjoy your evening or your day, wherever you are, and I'll speak to you all soon.